Hey folks, Arrow here, currently reckoning with the fact that a third of my audience is just here for the Eerie. Last year, I made a goal to review Girlframe if we hit 15,000 subscribers, and if we hit it by the end of the year, I'd review it in a maid dress. So I'm in uniform, I have a bowl of shoyu miso ramen leftovers, and let's get cracking. Content notes: misgendering transphobia, homophobia, sexism, abuse, assault, drug abuse, toxic relationships, dehumanization, fascism, body horror, torture, brainwashing, ableism, non-consensual surgery processes, lobotomies, hallucinations, memory loss, but promises, messy lesbians, toxic power dynamics, giant robots fighting eldritch horrors, oppression, and hard choices. Oh, so it's that kind of game. Girlframe is an 18+ TTRPG based off the Powered by the Apocalypse engine. In it, you play as mech pilots, or girls as you're referred to as. And yes, that's independent of your pilot's actual gender. You're fighting alien creatures called Gorgons, rebel insurgents with their own mechs, and even your fellow girls. This is not a game where your fellow players, your handler, or the foundation you're a part of have your best interests at heart. They actively want your downfall. You cannot increase in status without someone else decreasing in status. And someone is always the dog. My 30-second review is this. I like Girlframe more than I ever thought I would. It's a premise that doesn't appeal to me, involving subject matter that I personally find very distressing, designed for an audience I'm not a part of. I don't plan on ever playing this game, but the actual systems of mechanics, the implementation of themes, and the willingness to just be unabashedly what it wants to be demands my respect. In a word, this game is quality. Niche quality that I can't recommend to most people, but quality nonetheless. If you're of the age of majority, if you like mech games where it's not about the crunch, and if your entire play group is comfortable being uncomfortable, yeah, I'd recommend this full stop. But if you aren't all of those things, I'd say to pass. And based on my talks with the dev, I think she would agree. To make a girl, you get a girl playbook and a frame playbook. If you know Powered by the Apocalypse, this should be right up your alley, but for anyone else, these are effectively your character classes. Each playbook gives you access to different moves you can do, special actions only you can attempt. Then this is in addition to all the standard moves everyone can do. Generally, making a move requires a roll of 2d6, adding however much heat you have. Each heat is +1, but if you ever have 5 or more heat, you have to spend all of it. A 7 or less is bad, 8 to 10 is fine, and unlike most Powered by the Apocalypse systems I'm aware of, 11+ is also bad, usually by going too far or getting your handler involved. So it's a weird situation that reminds me of Vampire the Masquerade's Blood Dice, where the more heat you have, the better you can roll. But hoard too much, you're gonna go overboard. And even if you have no heat, you might go overboard anyway. It gives this weird incentive to keep your head low and not stick out too much, which is perfect for the themes of this game. Your girl playbook is what you are as a pilot and gives you access to 2 assets, which function both as health and a resource you can spend, your bonds with the other girls, indicating how close to them you are, and a variety of plays specific to your playbook. There's a ton of variety here. You can be the princess, the show dog of the Foundation, whose face is on all the cereal boxes, the casualty who died and got brought back to earn a second chance, the new girl who just got here, or the old gen who's seen more pilots die than you'll ever meet. But the most unique's gotta be the Mockingbird, a girl that got corrupted by the Void and got pulled out different. Your special move is bad at being a person, just like me for real. You also have 4 identities, which is how you view yourself and can be used to gain heat. Later in the game, you'll get tags or labels assigned to you by other people, which you can then embrace to replace your initial identities by moving past your preconceived notions of yourself. Also, your legal pronouns are it, its. Your frame's pronouns are she, her. Well, let's talk about her. Your frame playbook is what type of mech you're piloting and gives you 2 more assets that function the same as girl assets but on the mech scale, even more plays which are mostly restricted to while you're inside the mech, and a set of requisitions you can take to level up your frame over time. At time of writing, there are 9 mechs available across 3 different classes. Classes are basically culture groups delineating aesthetic differences between frames. Autocrats are chrome and sleek. A priestess is biological and inhuman. Legion frames are mechanical and clunky. Or, for any Lancer fans, SSC, Horus, and IPSN. There's also special requisitions you can take tied to your frame's class. Much like a Lancer core bonus, independent of your license, they let you better operate any frame that is an autocrat or a priestess or a legion. There's quite some variety in these frames, and surprisingly, a lot of non-combat stuff. The prince frame comes with a fan base who have expectations of how you should act. Its requisitions revolve around TV interviews to change public opinion, or letting you be the bad girl who isn't punished for disobeying orders so long as you're meeting your fan base's expectations. The Doctor is a support mech which has been phased out of usage not because it's not effective, but because it was deemed too expensive to field while pilots are considered expendable. It is a planned obsolescence tracker that you have to swap your mech once it fills up. You have the Consume, which I mean, it's what it says on the tin. This frame has a rumbling in its tummy that can only be satisfied by hands. Ideally while they're still attached to the rest of the body. But my favorite's gotta be the Wyvern. It's intended to be piloted by an entire cadre and never left the prototyping phase. Now you have to pilot it solo. It's so large that not only can it transport other frames, but it can just crush certain sized enemies for free. You can explore it like a dungeon off duty, and the entire rest of the table runs it collectively to ensure no one person actually knows what's inside. You also have to rouse it like a 40k Titan, and much like 40k Titans, it can overpower you and crush your psyche. Get some tech priests in here. I'm sure that will go over fine with your handler.
Got a job for you, 621.
I assumed going into this that your handler would just be the term for the GM. We've got storytellers and MCs and admins, and while I think Dungeon Master would definitely fit here, handler fits better. But I'm kind of shocked at how the game handles being a handler. The handler is the term for your GM. Your handler is also an NPC in-game, and they have their own handler playbook with its own rules and strengths and weaknesses. They made DMPCs mandatory in the Toxic Yuri game. Wowza! For instance, the mistress is superficially nice and uses positive affirmation to get the girls to do what they want. One of their advancement triggers is to pull strings and create a love triangle. You got the dog runner who runs the girls ragged, and the scientist who treats them all like experiments to be studied, but you also have the frantic, whose unique play is to break down, which you're forced to use when things go wrong. The description even says the girls better lock the F in, because this is too much for you to handle. And your breakdowns are like someone dies or something, where the girls are the ones making all the decisions. I can't even blame the frantic, because even though the handler isn't worried about fighting on the front lines, this is bureaucracy, baby! You have 3 different strain trackers to worry about. Void strain, which is based on how many Gorgons are invading. Rebellion strain indicates how many active rebel cells there are. And budget strain is your funding going the way of the dinosaurs. Strain is changed over Girlframe's life cycle, which makes sense. This is an early access product. When I first read the book, each had its own huge list where specific things happened in order that each got progressively worse. At time of writing, each strain type has a low table and a high table, where you roll randomly on one of the 2 tables depending on how severe the strain is. Low void strain might summon a Gorgon, while high void strain might form a Gorgon worshipping cult. Low rebel strain might have a rebel cell quietly set up shop, while high rebel strain might have a rebel handler offer one of your girls an escape from the Foundation. Low budget strain might have the girls do a photo shoot to raise funds for the— wait, what? Oh my gosh, that's wildin'. What the heck? High strain might mean that your superiors send a pilot to kill you. You know, the handler. All high strain tables have a chance to enter the endgame. Each strain type has its own endgame options, and these range from staff quitting en masse, rebels assimilating into the Foundation, you as a handler being put on trial for war crimes, and all of you going on leave, ending the game after a moment of reprieve. I gotta say, this really caught me off guard. I don't know the last time I saw a system where the GM had special rules set up that kept them involved as a player asymmetrically from the rest of the group. And this isn't optional. The game even says this is intended to put you in the headspace of the handler, and that if you're sleeping well at night, you're not working hard enough. You can pilot mechs in a dozen systems. There's probably 100 management sims out there. But I don't think I've ever seen a game that only has one player manage everyone else as they play a completely different system. Genuinely, one of the most interesting things about the entire system to me. You are as much a player as the rest of the cadre. Your group of girls is called your cadre. Each of you has a status within that cadre, as well as a bond to every other member. At the top of the cadre is the handler. Naturally, all pilots have a lower status than their handler and can never advance above their handler. Chain of command and all that. At the top of the cadre pilot-facing is the ace, the handler's favored pilot. Only one pilot can be the ace, and they get a special permission after each mission. Below the ace are the wings. Any number of pilot can be wings, and they're the baseline. Nothing good, nothing bad. Then there's the dog, the lowest ranked member of the cadre. There can only ever be one dog at a time, and they are always punished after the mission, no matter what they did. If the mission was successful, or if they even deserve it. Anyone can choose someone of a lower status and give them an order. If they choose to obey, they're fine. If they don't, they immediately lose status and have to roll to see if they can actually disobey the order. There is always an ace, and there is always a dog. But status is basically arbitrary, assigned by the handler effectively at a whim. The game even recommends that starting status can be determined by anything from attractiveness to how well they pass. The target player base is trans lesbians, in case you couldn't tell. Bonds, meanwhile, are the interpersonal relationships between girls. The lowest level is cadre, which allows them to have direct communication in their frames, because, you know, they're in the same cadre. That's kind of necessary in a fight. The next level is personal, which allows you greater influence over each other's roles. See, when someone makes a roll, you can mark one of their tags, one of the labels people have assigned to them, to increase or decrease their roll by 1. At a personal bond, you can do this by 2, which means you can either screw them over very easily or help them get to that 8 to 10 range. Because presumably, you kind of like each other at this point. In fact, you have feelings for each other. No, you don't have a choice. You can write them down or keep them secret, but you have to have them. Which feelings, you might ask? Good question. All that matters is that you have them. The final level is intense, which is some young adult romance nonsense. You can communicate complex ideas through eye contact or touch. This doesn't say anything about cybernetics or future tech or whatever, but you're just so tight, you can communicate battle plans on the fly, which very useful, but kind of wild, I ain't gonna lie. Also, yes, you want to engage in hanky-panky at this level. You always want to engage in hanky-panky when you have an intense bond. Is this where I talk about hanky-panky? I think this is where I talk about hanky-panky. You know, the only reason I'm making this section of the video is because last year, y'all hit a subscriber goal. All of you watching this right now, it's thanks to the arrow kissers who rushed throughout all of December and even some in November to hit that milestone before the end of the year. Why did I agree to this? The horizontal tango is core to the system. One of the core plays everyone has access to is flirting, the bond system involves intimacy, and every girl playbook gives you a unique play for such activities. Some frame playbooks even give you stuff. I'm gonna keep it a buck. When I was reading this book, I kept forgetting there was 18 plus content, and so I kept getting flashbanged by references to doing the deed. Though I suppose I'd rather be flashbanged by this game than flashed or banged by it. That's not making it in the final cut. Oh my gosh. To put it simply, this game tells you that getting down and dirty is an action you can take. Eroticism is expected to be used for casual fun, as a manipulation tactic, or as an expression of trust and intimacy. It is, in the same way as punching someone or firing a gun or piloting a mech, presented neutrally. And crazy, I know. I think it's presented fairly well in this system. Come on, sit down. Let me walk you through the birds and the bees, girlfriend style. First, you figure out how this is private enough that no one breaks it up. Very important step when you're legally considered not a human, and this is a heavily monitored facility. Second, describe what's actually happening on a physical level. That's just good role-playing advice. Physicality's very important. Third, everyone whips out their special move, though I guess you could do that in real life too. Everyone whips out their special play as written down in their girl playbook. Handler playbook too, if they're involved. And if you have 3 or more participants, each bird and or bee only rolls once. Fourth, describe how your characters are different from each other and how does that show up during the act. And then 5, what happens after? That's just good scene laying. I don't know, change the topic from getting frisky to playing a board game, and that's exactly the kind of beats I would set up. It's character work, just demonstrated through what is normally a very taboo topic to discuss among friends. Now, genre conventions and audience expectations mean this particular topic is gonna involve a lot of unhealthy and toxic stuff. There's a content warning at the beginning for a reason. But to take issue with that is kind of like saying baseball bats are dangerous weapons, because in zombie films, they're often used to hurt people. Like, yes, baseball bats can be dangerous, and in real life, people do get hurt by baseball bats. But it's just an object, and for the vast majority of the time, it's used for playing baseball. In the same way, depicting characters sleeping together is not a good or bad thing. It is a baseball bat, and I appreciate the game recognizing that and depicting it as such. That said, mexploitation as a genre is the equivalent of zombie movies. For a lot of people, bad stuff is the draw. That's why there's a bunch of mechanics about fighting for dominance, manipulating emotions, and being helpless. But the game also clearly isn't doing that stuff for the sake of cruelty. It's providing it as an option for a demographic that is clearly looking for that stuff. When I first did a reaction on the itch page of Girlframe, I had an email exchange with the dev. She sent me a review copy, which this is my disclosure. I got this for free, don't sue me. And I asked her some questions. Namely, what about people who are interested in this game, but not for the kink aspect? This was her response. This is a game about the interactions of power, feminine experience, and the ways in which the powerful subjugate the oppressed. While this can be approached through an erotic lens, this game firmly believes that sex is an act like any other, not the be-all end-all of the system. It can be interesting to engage with, but so can love, fighting weird eldritch aliens, or dealing with the fact that your mech really wants to eat people. There you have it straight from the dev. You don't need to play this game with a polycule, but ultimately, you can't really excise that stuff from the game entirely. Bonds alone are baked in everywhere, and they explicitly state your interest in getting down. I could definitely see a game of Girlfriend where anything 18 plus is implicitly implied rather than explicitly demonstrated. After all, it's a TTRPG. Communication and collaboration can solve almost any issue. Just for fun, I recorded my reaction to reading through this book and uploaded it over to Patreon. So here's a quick compilation of the various times this game flashbanged me with NSFW materials. Enjoy. Who knows? Okay, I just saw the next section. Y'all hit the goal. Y'all hit the goal. If 3 or more characters are having hanky-panky, each player only rolls once. No, that's, yeah, sure. That checks out. 2 assets, your bonds with the other girls and NPCs, several other plays and rules, including, right, I forgot this was a sussy game. I keep forgetting this is that kind of game. Set up a scene where the 2 of you are alone in a room, no cameras, no handler, no interruptions. There'll be trouble if one of you dies, but anything else is allowed. Obviously, I think the assumption is like, bounce, wow. But my immediate thought is like, yo, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna rob you. I'm on a different wavelength in this game. She's putty in your hands. Leave her in no state to do anything afterwards. That one caught me off guard. You crawled into my bunk in the middle of the night. Aw, cuddling. Cuddling, right? If you roll an A+, you may bring the harpy with you when you go off duty. She gains a leash and collar. Oh, understood. I just realized you can hanky-panky with NPCs and handlers. This whole time, I just kind of thought to myself, because of bonds, it's really only between the girls. What the hecky? I am not on the same wavelength as this system. Keep your head strikes me as defensive. Why is I'm sexy enough here? If I'm fighting a Gorgon, do I need to be sexy? You can use keep your head to weather their attacks and getting close, giving the opportunity to expose their core. You could flirt. Are you fighting other girls or Gorgons? Is this a monster lover game? Speaking of, Gorgons. They're puzzles beyond your comprehension that you can pork. Like, mechanically, that's how I would best summarize them. Gorgons have a class from 0 to 5 and a type, basically their playbook. The class determines its nature with how many assets it gets, while its type gives it an archetype of what monster it is and a unique play. So Class 1 is aggressive, where one of its unique rules is that it gets introduced killing an NPC. A doppelganger type disguises itself as a person and needs to be sussed out before being confronted. So a Class 1 doppelganger is a murder mystery with mechs. A Class 2 is dormant, where its type is hidden from the cadre until seen up close. A Leviathan creates obsession, causing humans to chase after it in a trance. So a Class 2 Leviathan is like awaking an eldritch horror. And either encounter would be very different, with a Class 1 Leviathan tearing through a city, or a Class 2 doppelganger rewriting society from the shadows. No matter the class or type, a Gorgon can only be killed by going for its core. To do this, the handler decides on 1 to 2 of their assets that need to be damaged, paired with a state of weakness they need to be put in. The handler will just tell the cadre what to do in most cases. Kind of like Ace Attorney, the drama doesn't come from figuring out who done it. The drama comes from piecing together all of the evidence and presenting it in a satisfying manner. Similarly, you get into the fight knowing what you have to do, but how the heck are you gonna do it? A Gorgon might have a chitin carapace, 1,000 blades, an all-seeing eye, and a trailing afterimage as its assets. But you can only go for the core if you damage its carapace and afterimage, while its eye is blinded by infrared light, and its shadow isn't touching anything biological. Like, that's super specific. Imagine trying to pull that off while you're in the middle of a city, or while fighting a second Gorgon. I guess you could just have one of the girls, distract the other one, hopefully while in their mech. Did you know there's different rules for, knowing a Gorgon biblically, whether you're inside or outside of your mech? If you're out of your mech, you automatically expose their core before dying instantly in a bloody mess. So like, what a way to go, I guess. But from inside your mech, it'll probably expose your core, maybe corrupt your mech with some void, or maybe even turn you into a void corrupted harpy if you or it are not then killed instantly. Which is certainly dramatic, if nothing else. Gosh, why am I saying nice things about this game? Yeah! I really appreciate the layout. It's such a small thing, but it's so noticeable. Give me information about character creation and basic rules up front. Put lore and setting details buried in the middle. Bookend with enemy stats. That's what Girlframe does, and it is so convenient. Also, it's been updated like 4 times in as many months. I don't know if that's literally true, but there have been no fewer than 3 major updates since I did my first read-through. And like I said with Strain, these are core mechanics getting fixed and updated in accordance with feedback. This is just a really well-formatted game, particularly for early access. There's no art, it's just black text on white background for the most part, but it's just put together so pleasantly. This system is genuinely a fantastic exercise for me in recognizing quality that differs from my personal taste. There's a lot in here that does not interest me. There's a lot in here that makes me actively uncomfortable, but I'm not the target demographic. I don't need to be interested or comfortable. Girlframe is quality, plain and simple. I got a review copy for free, but you can pick it up on itch for $15 if you're a legal adult. Again, very not safe for work, so I can't give you a direct link, but I don't think whether something is NSFW or not should degrade its quality. If it's good, it's good. If it sucks, it sucks. If it swallows, gosh, I need to get out of this headspace. better. You know, I went down this rabbit hole because a random commenter said, as a joke, I should check out Girlframe. Now, I know what exploitation is, and my audience is full of puppy girls. That's what I get for reading my comments. Y'all are wildin'. If you want me to review more TTRPGs like this, let me know, and give suggestions in the comments, ideally ones that are safe for work this time. This was a lot. I put my full, uncensored, unfiltered reaction to reading through the book over on Patreon. A couple of those lines, oof, had me blushing, I'll tell you what. I don't plan on ever playing this game, but I think running an old gen Wyvern pilot might be fun. The last survivor of the Wyvern's previous crew, now having to run it solo, and oh my gosh, the frantic handler sounds hilarious. This is a running joke in stream, where for a sub goal I need to run a game of Girlframe for a bunch of lewd tubers and NSFW content creators. So if that's something you want to see, I don't know, 100,000 subs by the end of the year and I'll figure it out. The goal is not meant to be possible. The goal is to exploit you. Mexploit you? Okay, I need to talk Perfect Draw or something as a palate cleanser. Have fun!